So I get a lot of questions about seminal retention and ejaculatory control and orgasmic control, or making love without orgasm. And I guess first thing we'll have to do is just see if this survives the social media algorithms and is allowed to be posted. But when people ask me that, my first question is why? Why do you want to know these things? Why do you want to do these things? Because what I find is that most people, well, at least men, I should say many men, come to Tantra because they want to be sexual athletes. They hear that you can make love for hours and hours and hours without having orgasm. Why? Why do you want to do this? What's the purpose? If you just want to be a sexual athlete, there's techniques out there, in the men's health world that, and I would say men's health world, that can teach you how to do this. What is the purpose for this with Tantra? Okay, because Tantra is liberation through expansion, expanding awareness to liberate you in society and life and creation. Liberation through expansion. So how do we use this to expand our awareness? This orgasmic energy, this energy of love, is rocket fuel that has a very low frequency compared to spiritual energy up here in your crown, right, and beyond. And low frequency compared to your heart energy as well. Okay, so what we do with Tantra is, instead of ignoring the sexuality, is we incorporate it. But sexuality is not the means to, it's not the end, it's a means to an end. It's the fuel that drives an engine and changes the car engine to a rocket ship engine. This incredibly potent and large quantity, massive quantity energy. Everybody's been aroused. Everybody focuses a lot on their sexuality, and you feel that big glow in your pelvic bowl. Well, if we can take that and transmute, and this is the secret of internal alchemy, if we can transmute that energy to spiritual energy, then we've got more spiritual energy in our system. We evolve more quickly. So this is the purpose, right? If it stands to reason, the more sexual energy we can cultivate, the more that there is to transmute, and the more spiritual energy we end up with, or in this case, heart energy. Okay? So this is where the purpose of transmuting energy, this is where the purpose of extending lovemaking, this is where seminal retention comes in, right? If you have an orgasm and you ejaculate, you as a man, you lose energy in conventional orgasm. Right? And if the purpose is to accumulate more and more energy, and we have an orgasm and lose energy, we've kind of lost out, right? We've defeated the purpose. So if we can build orgasmic energy, and that's why I say it's about being orgasmic, not orgasm, right? If we can build this orgasmic energy and then transmute it, and then build more orgasmic energy and transmute that, we can continue this cycle almost indefinitely. And this is the Maha Tantra sexual cycle. To stimulate, to build energy before orgasm, to meditate, to transmute that energy. And the cobra breath is the technique par excellence, the Tantric Kriya cobra breath I'm talking about, is the technique par excellence for transmuting this energy extremely efficiently. And then you transmute that energy. And then when the arousal level is gone and you're no longer near the point of no return, you go back to stimulating physically, energetically, build more energy, and do it again. And so instead of this sexual cycle of the conventional sexual cycle where the energy, you have some foreplay, you build the energy quickly, you have an orgasm, and you drop down below the original starting point. With Tantra, it's stair-stepping. You stimulate, meditate, transmute, stimulate, meditate, transmute, stimulate, meditate, transmute, stimulate. And that can go on indefinitely, literally as long as you have the capacity to maintain that much energy, it can go on. Okay, so this is the purpose of it, right? Of the ejaculatory control. This is the purpose of the orgasmic control. This is the purpose of seminal retention. With semen, there's physical energy that goes into making semen. Your body takes to make semen. There's sugars that have to be produced and amino acids converted to proteins, and the whole thing has to be put together. And when your body puts it out, it has to replace that. So there's a certain physical energy to it, but there's also that energetic drain, which is why, there's a meme or a trope in society and human history of, man has an orgasm, falls asleep, right? Energy just drained out. I get to relax. Right? Or I am relaxed. Whereas with this, there may be a period of relaxation after, which there should be after you make love, of coming together, because that resolution phase is part of making love. Okay? And so after that resolution, you would have more energy. You don't need to sleep. You're starting out, you're ending up with more than you started. Okay? As far as ejaculatory control, is not as important as people think. All right, as we do this and we transmute and transmute and transmute, we're pulling the energy out of the semen, right, and transmuting it, so that there would be a much more gentle orgasm and physical orgasm and ejaculation, and some fluid will come out, and that fluid can be completely clear, highly viscous, very light, and completely clear, because all the semen has already been pulled out. Literally, the physical semen has been pulled out, but the physical energy, right? You can also just have orgasm but not have ejaculation, because once you've created this backward flowing channel and the energy going up the spine, now orgasm's not the violent screaming, physical affair that you see in the porn movies. It's much more subtle, and it encompasses the entire nervous system and the entire body. And there may be physical sensations in the genitals, the pulse, and then a wave of energy, and then a gentle pulse and a wave of energy, and then a gentle pulse and a wave of energy. And this is how women can be continuously orgasmic and multi-orgasmic, and men can be that way, but we talk about the polarity shifting in Tantra. And so the man is becoming feminine here, and there's this pulse and this wave of energy, and that can go on seemingly endlessly, But once again, none of these are goals that you need to seek after. These are experiences to have and to observe and to be aware of. As you transmute the energy, as you practice, as you expand the capacity of your nervous system, as you expand the capacity of your endocrine system, then these are effects of that. They're not the goal. The goal is transmuting energy, expanding your awareness, becoming one with all life, and going beyond even unity consciousness into what is beyond that. The goal is expansion, liberation through expansion, and expansion through liberation. Okay? And so using this sexual energy is a way. And so what happens is you become a better lover. The way you become a better lover isn't learning how to maintain a 4-hour erection and having enough, pelvic muscles to pound away for 4 hours. That's not what it's about. Becoming a better lover is accessing the multidimensional nature that you have and being able to connect with your partner on multiple levels. All most people are thinking about with sex is developing their sexuality on one level, one dimension of existence, right? And ignoring all the rest. But making love from the heart, making love from the crown, making love from beyond the crown, making love from all the other chakras, connecting, expanding, feeling, making love from your entire nervous system. So your entire nervous system is an erogenous zone, and your partner's entire nervous system is an erogenous zone. That's what this is about. And then using that. And it's not even, that's just, once again, that's another effect. That's not the goal. The goal is expanded awareness. But as you become a fully aware, multidimensional being, you make love with full awareness and multidimensionality. Okay? So, you can actually have a physical orgasm. It's defined differently as what the common physical orgasm is, the genital sneeze that Sunyata would call it. Um, there's the having the physical orgasm, but having withdrawn the seminal energy from it. There's the body going through that pulsing, but no ejaculation at all. But even if you, on your way, if you have physical orgasms, if you're practicing Tantra and transmutation, it has much less impact. And let's say we talked about the Maha Tantra cycle and the conventional sexual cycle, right? So the conventional sexual cycle, you build this energy quickly, you have an orgasm, you drop below the original starting point. But with the Maha Tantra cycle, you stair step up. So let's say with the conventional cycle, you start with an energy level of 10 and you build your energy, and then you have an orgasm and you end up with an energy level of 4. But with Tantra, Maha Tantra, let's say you start with a 10 and you build it up to a 20 and then you transmute. And then you build it up to a 30 and you transmute. And you build it up to a 40 and you transmute. And you build it up to a 50 and you transmute. And you build it up to a 60 and you have an orgasm. And your energy level drops. Let's say it drops 10 points or 20 points. Then you're back at 50 or 40. You're still way above where you started at 10. So it's less devastating, even if you do have an orgasm after doing that, making love in this conscious tantric way. You'll still end up with more energy than when you started. Okay? And then you learn your lesson. Okay, here's what I did. I went past the point of no return. I should have stopped here and meditated, or I should have separated and meditated, and we come back again and make love in a few hours or a few days, and let the body and the nervous system adjust and develop. So orgasm isn't your body's natural programmed habitual response, But there's different ways of approaching this multi-orgasmic nature, or this continuous orgasmic nature, or this non-ejaculatory nature, or seminal retention nature. And those aren't the goals. Those are means of containing energy so that there's more available to transmute. And don't lose sight of the the truth that this is about expanding awareness. It's not about sexual athletics. And if that's your goal, just go to these men's magazines and stuff, and they'll teach you how to do this and do that and make your penis larger and have longer erections and take this herb and blah, blah, blah. That's not Tantra. It's being sold as Neo-Tantra and this other stuff now, and they're losing the goal. But really, you develop yourself as a human being, you will by definition be a better lover, right? And if you develop your capacity to transmute your sexual energy to love energy, to spiritual love energy and beyond, your orgasmic nature will change, and the nature of your orgasms will change. And then you're onto something. So, happy love making, everybody. What I like to say is, because we are love factories, and when we make love, if we make love, there's a difference between fucking and sex and making love. But when we make love, which starts at the heart or above and then connects and then generates the sexual energy. If we make love, every time we make love, there's more love in the world than there was before. So really, your way that you can help change the planet and change humanity is to make love. Okay, because as you generate this energy and transmute it, like I said, you can start it at 10 and end at 50. You can start at 10 and end at 100. You can start at 10 and end at 1,000. As you're transmuting, and this energy is radiating out from you, or it's exuded from you during that lovemaking and has gone into the field. And there's literally more love in the world, and we are love factories. And there's literally more love in the world at the end of making love than when you began. And that is literally the correct term, making love. I make love because I am a love factory, right? So make love, not war, but seriously, make love consciously, intentionally, with the intention of expanding, and the levels of bliss and enjoyment, physical and beyond, are indescribable, because instead of the genital sneeze, you're having that orgasmic bliss in your entire physiological nervous system, your physiological body, and beyond into your energetic bodies. And there's no way that this little pelvic fire is going to outdo that when it comes to bliss and ecstasy and connection and joy and passion. So, lots of love to all of you. Namaste.